everyone. This is the Abundance Oracle here. I was really thinking about things tonight, about what my projects are and what I'm working on. And, a couple of you wrote to me today about your path to becoming financially independent. And it seems, okay, I'm going to go on a rant. Some of us, and I was the same way when I first started out, was very, I'm going to say, naive about how things worked. And the American dream is really not for your benefit. The American dream was set up, and I'm sure you learned it just as I did in school. Oh, a little white picket fence, you get up. And at that point in time, my husband was supposed to be working. I was supposed to get married like Cinderella in a pretty dress. And my husband was supposed to be working, and we're buying a house together with a little picket fence and have a couple of children, and everything would turn out just really so peachy keen. Well, okay, things weren't like that for me. And I had to figure it out. My ex-husband's not well, and I had to figure out how to take a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old and get them through life, pay for everything on my own, until one actually was after 18, so she never got child support, and the other one, I think there was like 6 months, maybe 9 months of 1% of the child support that he was ordered to pay originally. So we forgive him, though. He's not well, and the kids have turned out fine and dandy. However, I had to make choices along the way that I'm going to say I'm lucky, but that's a lie. A lot of people who get wealthy say it's, just lucky. It's not lucky. I have an old boyfriend that he became a billionaire at age 40 or 42. And I said, we started out the same, and now look, you're, a billionaire, and, I'm far from $1 billion. And he said, it was just luck. A lot of it was luck, which is not true. A little teensy bit might be luck, but it's opportunity presenting itself in a place that he knew what to do with it. And the same thing with me. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that means. It means you have to be prepared and have the knowledge. And I think both of us had the right attitude, hardworking. What we didn't know, we were going to learn. And when things happen in life, you can either be upset about it, or you can learn a lesson from it and move on so that it doesn't happen again. So things are put in your path for certain reasons. Or maybe they're not even put in your path for certain reasons. Maybe you just stumbling along in life and something happens. And there's a lesson to be learned in that something happening. Because otherwise you wouldn't have stumbled and had difficulty at that point in time. So the things and the path that you want to take to become wealthy might need a little bit of, what do that boxers do? Duck and weave, I think they call it, duck and weave. So your plan might be a great plan, and yet you might have to duck and weave to make things work out after the universe has a say-so in what your plans were. So for me, I was working very hard. As you know, I brought in clients, ultra wealthy clients who were fabulous people. One of the things I thought I would have tons of clients, and it came down to having good clients. Not good as in I made a lot of money from them, good because who they were as people were really good people. They didn't take advantage of anyone. They were they were family men. They were people who just had their head on their shoulders the right way. And I know there's some of you out there now that are struggling with your plan, but you have the right attitude and it does make a difference. So this is how I did it. And I'm not saying you have to do it this way, but this is how I did it. And I was considerably younger when I started out. I had a full-time job that I just happened to learn how to be good at my job. The first job I had, the first go around. Well, the first one was like a bagel shop and, when you're in high school. And my very, very first job was making ice cream cones in Cape Cod. And all my friends would come and I'd make them extra big. And anyway, I have a picture of my very first day of work ever. I'll have to find that and show it to you someday. So anyway, I worked hard, and I started out as a cold caller. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's very fun, cold calling. And pretty much most of the guys who were established got into the office, I'm going to say around 9 a.m. So I made sure I was in at 7 a.m. and listened to the calls that the established brokers or financial, what are they called now? Financial advisors, I think they're called now. Okay, so I was in at 7 before everybody else, and sometimes I wasn't the first one. There's times when I was the second or third one in, but roughly a couple hours before all the good guys got in. And I made sure I got most everything I had to get done well and as fast as I could, so that by the time lunchtime came around, I was done with my day. So what I had the capabilities of doing then is listening, watching all these very accomplished people and offer, may I assist you? May I help you? Is there anything I can do to make your day a little easier? Okay, so then I became a financial assistant, and my job, so somebody plucked me out of the job. I was first at Bear Stearns. No, I was first job was somewhere. I'm trying to remember the name of the place. It doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, I was there. And then a guy named Kieran knew of me, and he saw me lead seminars. I used to lead seminars at night about living life and how to, different topics, okay. So anyway, I did that. He stole me from that firm. I think it wasn't, oh shoot. Okay, I don't remember the name now. So then he took me over to Bear Stearns, and he basically tossed me into the cold calling room. And I was the only woman, which was an interesting experience in its own set. And I had to learn how to sell. But the job I had before at nighttime, which I did not get paid for, was a seminar director for, it was originally called Warner Earhart, I think, and called The Training, and then it's called The Forum. But anyway, I led seminars for them, and I just happened to learn how to talk to people at that point in time and do well about it. And I was the #1 seminar director in the Boston area. Okay, So Kieran saw me there because he did the same work that I did. And he threw me into Bear Stearns. And the thing that I think prompted me to do well was having the right attitude, even. Because I would get in before everyone else. I would bring my lunch. I wouldn't go out for lunch. A lot of guys went out for lunch. And I took, because I can call during work hours in California for 3 hours longer than the men worked in New England, because there's a 3-hour time difference. So I stayed 3 hours after 5 p.m., after 4:30 p.m. when the market closed. So I was there till, for, let's just say 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. I would go home. I would be very tired then. But I started to open quite a few accounts. And I'll say what differentiated me, I think, from all those men scrambling and trying to open accounts and everything and listening to them, I think what was different about me is I told the truth and I didn't exaggerate what they could expect of me. And at the time, now you say, well, of course you told the truth. Well, it was not so common back then. Everyone tried to puff themselves up to sound better than they actually were and everything else. And I would say, okay, if we buy 10 stocks, 2 are going to do better than we expect, 2 are going to do worse than we expect, and the average will probably come out to be ba, depending upon what we bought. And so I also let them know that there's going to be times when you're going to want to fire me, because when the 2 or 3 stocks that fail or don't do well, like we said, you're going to say, oh my gosh, she's horrible. But if I did my work and researched the stocks and they were good, solid companies, I'm going to talk you into, if they were good, solid companies, if something didn't change in the scheme of things and the stock for some reason was down, I'm going to talk you into buying more of it. Because what's better than buying a great company at even a cheaper price? And I told them, when things go really well and that you're making more than I told you we were going to make, you're going to say, oh, give me more. And I'm going to say, no, now it's time to take your profit. And it goes against human nature to sell when things are great. So, not always. Sometimes we would hang on because we'd readjust the price expectation. But very few people knew how to interact with me without their emotions getting in the way. Because when we made a lot of money and they'd call up all excited, I said, remember when I first opened the account, I told you this was going to happen. Now, the 3 stocks that I did better, I agree with you. 1 of them we can buy more, and 2 of them we need to take the profits on. So it was very interesting. I never heard anyone else explaining the process of being a client of theirs. People just sort of winged it, and if they had sales skill and talked somebody into something, they just took that and stopped there. They didn't really look to take care of their clients. So anyway, I opened a lot more accounts than the men. And I remember thinking, I went in and in the end of their day, not my day, but their day, they would go through and we would go through the room. Okay, did you get any accounts? How many? And most of the time, I was the one who got the most accounts. And one of the things I didn't like that my manager did, and I had to go in and sit down and talk to him, is he said, oh, you're letting a girl beat you. And that was not good for me, because they looked at me as adversarial. And that's not who I wanted to be. I would rather have them come to me and ask, how do we operate like you do? You see? So it's very interesting. So I made more than enough money to take care of myself and save. I had an older gentleman who I was really lucky. He had a very large company on the whole East Coast of the United States. And, we got to know each other. My background tends to be a lot of Irish in my background. And he was Irish. And we would go out for a cup of coffee early in the morning or whatever. And, I said to him, if you don't mind me asking you, if you were my age again, because he was 25, 30 years older than me. If you were my age and just starting out again, what would you do? How would you invest and build your company? Because he had a big, big company. And how would you do it? And he said, looking back and his friends and everything else, he said, I would buy real estate. So I loved that answer because I didn't want to invest my money in the same industry that I made my money in, because if the market went down and fell to pieces or something and I had all my money saved in that market, I would be corkscrewed. So I started on the weekends then, after I'd get home at night, right? Sleep fast, get up, get going, trying to figure out the real estate marketplace. And I started out buying small little single family homes and learning how to figure out what I could get for rent, what repairs needed. Now, I was lucky because my parents, when I was growing up, they, and my aunt and uncle and everybody else were real estate agents, but that's not what I was doing. I wasn't trying to make money off the sales. I was investing my money and holding on to it, but letting the renters pay off the mortgage over time. So, but I learned ever since I was a little girl. I remember my dad having to go check out a house or whatever. He would walk me through and say, this is horrible, hollow doors, not even solid doors. Where are the screens? These windows don't have any screen. Look at this. Come here. Look at this. Doesn't it look like it should have a screen? I'm like, look at these floors. Now this is not good. This is old pine and it wears out quickly. So unless you're going to really take care of your floors, you should get hardwood floors, because that is much harder to damage. You could only sand your floors maybe 4 or 5 times with hardwood floors. But if it's pine, it really maybe 2 or 3 times. And I'm listening to this, and he would just go over and over. Oh, no ceiling molding here. Yep, yep. They got a little chintzy. He'd say, little chintzy with the molding. I'm like, Dad, okay, are we done? Like a typical kid. Because he said it over and over and over every time we went into a house. And I'd be like, I know, you told me so already. So I was learning. If I could distinguish, the molding, I know about molding. Yep, okay, Dad. So as I grew up, I would think, I knew it all. And then when I needed that knowledge, when I was in my late 20s and started to accumulate those houses, it all came back to me. So that was lucky that I had a dad. Or was it that I ebbed and was inclined to buy real estate because I knew somewhere inside I had the knowledge, and I must have had a little bit more confidence in myself. So the real estate worked out extremely well for me. I had a realtor, Chuck, who helped me out get everything rented. and his wife, Karen, and she ended up taking Chuck's job, but she was really good with people and helped me rent a lot. So as I accumulated houses over a few years, I ended up with like 50 houses. Karen was really good at getting everything rented as fast as possible, and she knew people around. I started in Marblehead, way, way far away from here, but in Marblehead, Massachusetts, I was. So she knew everybody in town. She knew how to talk to people at the pizza place, everywhere, talk to people. And she got things filled up very, very quickly. And we're still friends with Karen and Chuck. And it was great. It worked out very well. And then I have my friend Angie. Hi, Angie. I know you're watching, maybe sometimes. She did all the books. I still know her. She still helps me when I call from time to time. What do I do about this Quicken? So the thing that I earned my money on and then invested it into the thing that made me independently wealthy at a young age. Because at that point in time, the interest rates on some of these things that I bought, well, especially when I got down to buying commercial real estate, I think I was paying 12% interest when I started. And interest rates luckily turned around and went back down. But I could refinance, and it got better and better and better every time. So I hit it right in the real estate cycle of things. The commercial real estate was much easier because it was all triple net, which meant the only thing I had to do was collect the rent check and pay the mortgage. And I bought these places calculating in that I was going to have some repairs and everything else, because I already knew from my dad, oh, yeah, these people are going to have to repair this. Come look at this rusty old water heater, Carol. Look at that. Okay, Dad. Yeah, it looks old to me too. Yeah, uh-huh. You know how much a water heater costs? $300-500, and now this crazy lady here in the house one of the houses I'm living in here. I buy commercial hot water heaters because I think they're made stronger, more durable, and last longer. And it's all because Dad showed me, look at these old water heaters. So look back in your history. Where did you learn? And I'll tell you, some people learned, their parents taught them, go to the country club. You'll meet people there. You'll have fun there. On your spare time, go have fun. My parents, they were builders, they were workers, they were, I don't know how many generations, hard workers. And I sort of like that. I went through the phase of where I really wanted to spend money and do things. And I really like being natural, although, I go down to Florida. I need a balance. I like to be easygoing. You'll see the huge difference when it comes down to wintertime with me. You've seen, some of you have seen what I get my nails done even. I exercise more, I get thin, and then I come back here and I do my little happy deal here. So what I built my wealth and financial independence on was not the thing that I earned my living on. And then I made sure when I did have extra money I wasn't spending it on frivolous things that wasn't going to make me more money. I was calculating, ooh, okay, I got another 100,000 now. Okay, let's see if I make 10%. Oh, what if I make 15%? Oh, if I do a really good job. Oh, and then the end, the appreciation. Oh, ooh, oh. So that was exciting for me to figure out making more money. And ultimately what happened was, at some point in time, I don't even remember when it was, all of a sudden things started to get paid off. And I was making more money not working than spending all my time working. And I worked a lot. I mean, you know my hours. I told you, 7 to like 8 at night, 7 at night sometimes. So everybody else was working 8-hour days, 7, 8-hour days, and I'm working 12, 13-hour days. Calculate out for a year the difference in how much work I did versus everybody else. And then on the weekends, they went home and off, and I sometimes led seminars, did volunteer work, fulfilling my heart. And also, the real estate was fun. My girlfriend Mary, one of the, is it the first house? No, the very first house was across from the fire station. It was a little teensy hospital, and I bought the condo, 1-bedroom condo, and it was the place where the ladies gave birth way, way back when. So it was a very happy, energetic, it was abundant wonderfulness, my very first place. And I think it was my second place that I bought, and I told my dad, I need you to co-sign on this, because it was a lot of money. For me, it was a lot of money, And I said, Mom can't co-sign on it because something at the time she couldn't do it. So I said, Dad, can you co-sign it? So he co-signed it. And then I closed on the house and I said, can you come help me? I'm inviting everybody over. The backyard is a wreck. It's all weeds and everything. And I need to get some painting done. And my girlfriend Mary, she's spectacular. Her hair's always done. She has her fingernails always done. And I just remember her with a paintbrush in her hand and my mom laughing at her saying, this is a really good friend. Carol, you better keep her. Look what she's willing to do. And she is a very good friend. Now, what you need to know is my dad practically had a heart attack when he saw the house, because for years and years and years, it was a very old house. The sidewalls were like this. All the bookcases, the staircase, everything was built into the tilt. And he was so nervous because he just trusted me because he knew I was someone that kept my word. So he just signed. It all worked out great. He didn't have a heart attack in the long run. But I think I told you the story. That's the house where the kitchen needed a new floor, and I ended up painting it and putting a border on it because I'm a cheapskate. I couldn't afford to pay to put new hardwood floors down. So what is your path? What's your plan? And are you trying to become financially independent with the money you're saving and the money you're investing and the money you're growing? Or are you trying to make so much money with your job and somehow have that be lasting? I think you're better to get it out of your hands, in my opinion. This is all psychological game I used to play with myself. Get that out of your hands and get it invested into something that you can't touch. Like I told you at the wedding that I was just at, there were a lot of very wealthy kind people, brilliant, brilliant people. And, not the older ones that were retired already, but the younger ones, a lot of the younger ones will be able to retire early because they're doing the same thing. And if you're wise, there's a few things about markets that not everything is on the up and up, and a lot is manipulated nowadays, the way things have been going. And just be careful, because there's a 7 to 10 year roughly cycle where things get collapsed and the bottom pulled out from underneath you. So make sure you get invested in things that can last over the long haul, whether they're up or down. There's a lot of fly-by-night things that people are buying right now that are making a lot of money on. I just hope that they remove their profits from those things and separate it out into a different industry. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Now, Miss Harriet, my little chicken, and Miss Red can put their eggs all in one basket, my little basket, if they would like. But you all think. All right, I've talked way too long. Oh, half an hour. I'm so sorry. When the mood strikes me, you got to grab it. I know you're all working hard. Now let's combine that with working smart so that your future is bright. A lot of people become wealthy during challenging times. And we're going to be going through a little bit of challenging times. So I want you to be one of those people who do better through challenging times. All right, I love you all. This is the Abundance Oracle. Please let me know what you think about that, what we just talked about. Diversifying, not just assets, not just in one thing, not just diversifying in the stock market, but diversifying things that don't fall into those categories. All right. Love you all. Talk to you soon. And maybe next time I might brush my hair for you even. Some things are important, but we went to the beach today. Okay. Love you. Bye.